nice. So this should be comical, but just in case, I've got the thing running. Um, I've talked about this kind of stuff before, or these balls before. These are Aramith uh, snooker balls, snooker colors, kind of, but they're 2¼ inches, so same size as the pool ball. And the colors are a little bit off. Like this ball is actually kind of maroon and not brown, and the six is orange and not pink. And well, these also have numbers on them, and real snooker balls I don't believe have any numbers, at least not that I've ever seen. And the way these are placed on a 4.5 by 9 table, and I can actually just go by fractions because that's what I found on the internet, was this line here, the block line, is not the hip train line. It's the block line. This distance between the nose of this cushion and the center of this ball, or between the nose of this cushion and the block line, is 1/5 of this entire distance. And I forget what it is in my case, 16 something inches, whatever. It doesn't really matter. This distance between the center of, I know this might look like the one, but it's the two ball, between the center of the two ball and the nose of this cushion is 1/3 of this distance between this nose and that nose. This distance between the nose of this cushion and this ball, which is actually the three, again, 1/3 of this entire distance. And then the distance between these two balls is again 1/3. A line running down the center of the table, that's where the four ball goes. So directly between those two. The blue ball, which is the 5, I think this is a darker blue than what I've usually been seeing, like on YouTube for snooker. That's what got me fired up about doing this and getting these balls out. I've been watching a lot of snooker on YouTube today. Ronnie O'Sullivan, he had two 147s, which is the best you can do, I guess, under normal circumstances, in the same match. So that was pretty darn impressive. He's a pretty impressive player. I am a snooker fan of some players. I'm a fan of Ronnie. I'm a fan of Judd Trump. No relation, stop typing. I'm actually a fan of Allie Carter too, although I'm not sure if I'm legally allowed to be a fan of both Ronnie and Allie at the same time. It'd be like being a fan of the Yankees and the Boston Red Sox at the same time. I think there's a bit of a rivalry there. But yeah, I'm still a fan. Just a casual fan. And I never play snooker. I just, every night I get these balls out. But just continuing where the balls go. Sometimes people just want to know that. The 5, which is blue, right in the center of the table on this line and on that center line. The 6, which I've only ever seen it as pink, but on this side it's orange, goes on the foot spot. Now on the snooker table there is no foot spot because there's no diamonds on the snooker table. So they use diagonals from the pockets, and wherever those diagonals cross, that's where they spot that 6 ball. The rest of the balls, all of the red balls, they get rocked just like normal pool balls, but they can't touch that 6. They're very close, but they're not touching the 6. There's, I don't know, there's probably an 1/8 of an inch. Yeah, that's probably all I've got. And then last but not least, last but most, I guess, is the black ball, which in snooker is worth 7 points on this line. And this distance from here to the center of the ball is 1/11 of the distance between this point and all the way up there at that point. 1/11. Kind of a weird number, but so is 1/5. I guess they like prime numbers or something. This is going to be about the first time in my life I've ever tried to break snooker on a pool table. With this setup. I don't remember ever trying to do it. I don't have nearly the room that they have on the snooker table. What they will typically try to do, I guess it probably varies among players, but from about right there, I'm going to try to clip this corner ball with a lot of right side spin. I send the cue ball here, here, come on this side of the blue, here, and back down here. My cloth is probably not fast enough either. That snooker cloth is really fast. But I'm actually curious if I can even miss that blue ball. Now, again, I'm not trying to make anything. I'm just trying to see if I can miss that blue ball. So a lot of right side spin, almost like a straight pull break. And I don't think that's too bad at all for my first ever snooker break attempt. What I was going to try to do, and I guess I'm still going to try it, but I am going to fail. Uh, Sherry, I don't know how to pronounce. He's a YouTube pool guy. He did a 147 on a 4.5x9. He actually did it with a head cam, I believe. A couple things. He's a lot better shooter than I am. Another thing, I don't know how many takes it took him to do that. And he's a lot younger than I am, so he has the life expectancy to, I guess, keep trying and not give up. I am not going to keep trying until I get it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try this one time with all 15 reds. And if I almost say if that doesn't work, when that doesn't work, then I'm going to, okay, let's just try it with 3 reds. Let's try it with 5 reds. Let's try it with 10, that type of thing. If you've never played snooker before, you're not familiar, what happens is the player will make a red, any red in any pocket, shoot at any red in any pocket. In my case here, because I am going to go for something, I'm not going to try to play safe. I'm going to try to cut this red into this pocket. Like I said, any red in any pocket. Then any color, again, in any pocket that they want. Now, if you want to get a 147 maximum score, you have to be red and then the black ball. Any red ball that goes in stays down. Any colored ball, a ball that's not red and not the cue ball, comes back up on its same spot if that same spot is available. And if that spot is blocked by something else, there are rules that they use, and I don't have them all memorized. So what I have to try to do here, again, I'm going to fail, is I have to try to make this red right here come in through here and maybe come back up like this and then be on the black in the same pocket. I'm probably going to miss the red, guys, so. It's 800 feet away. And yeah, that's the only excuse I need. It's 800 feet away. Overcut it like crazy. But so what would have happened had I made that ball? Had that ball gone in, I wouldn't have really had a shot at the black ball, but I could have shoot any ball. In this case, I probably would have shot at the 2, maybe. Or see, I said the 2. That's the American color. This is the 5. I probably would have shot at him. Got 5 points. That would have spotted back up, and then I would be shooting in another red. And that's just, I guess in a very simple nutshell how it's supposed to work. And you just keep going, keep spotting any ball. Now I move this ball accidentally, it stays there. But if it ever gets pocketed, then it'll get put back up. And eventually you get to the point where All the reds have been pocketed except for one. So all the reds have now been pocketed except for one ball, except for one of them. It took me a little while to get this particular rule down. Remember I said if a colored ball gets pocketed, it spots. It spots. Oh man. If it follows a red, if it's shot immediately after a red, then it spots. I think that's the best way to say it. So I'm going to shoot this red in this pocket, just like finishing up or getting close to the end of a normal game here. Oops, actually hit that with my hand. Didn't want to do that. That's probably a foul on both sides of the pond. Again, I can shoot any ball I want now. But in snooker, you're basically trying to get points usually. And I'm good enough on the black ball. I should shoot the black ball at this point. And it will spot back up because it is going to be immediately after a red ball. If that makes any sense. But then after that black ball spots back up, wherever the cue ball is, I have to shoot the colored balls in order. And in real snooker, the balls don't have numbers on them. People just have it memorized. But yellow, green, brown, or blue, actually, in that order. Then the blue, and then the pink, it's orange in this case, and then the black. So what I have to do, if I want to continue, to shoot, is I have to make this black ball, and the next ball I'm going to shoot has to be that yellow ball. And so that's what I've got to try to do, is make the black ball. I don't have enough of an angle to come up the way I really like it. I just come up like that for the yellow ball. This ball spot because it immediately followed a red. It followed the red that I shot into this pocket. Nothing else is going to spot. Again, I don't know all the rules, but maybe if there's a foul or something, you would spot the ball back up. If I shoot the yellow in that pocket and follow it in, it would probably spot up. Not 100% sure about that, but this is the kind of thing that the top players, the clearing of the colors, they do all the time. Thousands of times in their lives. Me, no. But every now and then I can clear them. It just kind of, depends. Usually for me, it kind of depends on my speed control. A lot of times on that very first shot, how did I get? If I get too steep of a cut on the three, then I'm kind of, when I said three, I meant the green ball. I'm kind of, trying to get that back all the time. In this case, I'm all right. I can just draw back and then shoot the four ball in the same pocket. Now I'm perfectly straight in on this ball here, but I want to just talk just for a second. If this ball was on the spot, sure, I could still cut it in this pocket. My next shot is right here. If this ball was on the spot, that tangent line from the spot pointed in that pocket is a scratch. You can manipulate around it and not scratch. But because we're not using the head string, using the balk line, that tangent line is no longer a scratch. And I think it's kind of clever. I don't know if they do it on purpose or not. So if the cue ball were here, in this case, I could just basically just shoot a stun shot and the cue ball would drift along that 90-degree line and not scratch. Kind of cool. Typically what it seems like the guys do, I'm talking about the good snooker players, is they will try to get almost straight in on the blue ball, straight in on the blue ball. But maybe not quite. They want to cut it. In this case, if the ball's over here, I want to cut it a little bit to my left. So the cue ball will naturally come down here towards the 6 ball, which is next, which is going to be next. This is another case where sometimes I over amp it a little bit, and I'll draw back, and I'll be shooting the ball going the other way. If that happens, I'll demonstrate it. And it's okay on a pool table. You don't have as much distance to have to try to get back in line. On a snooker table, I can see how that could be tough. This case, I just want to draw it back. I have a tendency to draw it back and then spin it. Have English on it. Side spin. And that's what makes me go too far. So I'm trying, because I am perfectly straight on the shot, to not put any side spin on the shot. And I didn't come back as far as I would if I ideally liked. Most of the time, I believe, the snooker players would not want this much of a cut. They want it to be a little bit less of a cut. Then they could shoot the ball in this pocket and just drift forward for this ball here. Or maybe shoot it in this pocket and kind of stun down for this ball here. But if they get too much of a cut, they kind of do the same thing, but they have to bounce off the rings. So what I'm going to do here is I'm still going to try to shoot the blue ball in this pocket. If I was on a snooker table, I would have a lot more room over here to mess with. But I don't. I'm a little bit concerned about hitting this ball accidentally. So I'm going to just try to stun down here, back up. I have to come up this far because I have to shoot the 6 and then the black ball. So that's what I'm going to try to do here. And yeah, it came too far. It was the spin that got me once again. But I'd rather come too far on that shot than not far enough. If the cue ball had stopped like here, then I'm cutting the ball into this pocket and sending the cue ball around 3 rails. Not the end of the world, but I do believe this is easier, even though it's a little bit of a stretch for me. And I think I mentioned the colored balls can go into any pocket. You typically, we'll shoot these 3 balls into one of these 2 pockets. This ball will go into one of these 2 side pockets, typically. But there's no rule. I could bank this right now if I felt like it, but I don't feel like banking it, so I'm not going to. I moved all the balls to this pocket to free up some space earlier, and now I have to free up some. Not that I think the ball was going to bounce out of the pocket, but the balls that were in there were poking up their heads and distracting me, and they were going to make me miss, and I wasn't going to like that. All right, so there's that. I'm going to mess with these balls for a while. Like I said, I'm going to try not getting a 147, but try it with only 3 reds, only 5 reds, only 10 reds, stuff like that. I may never complete it with 3 reds. It may be way too many. And I had to figure out, I actually just remembered this. I had to figure out, how do I start it? I don't want to start it with like the break that I did here initially. I think what I will do is I will spot, all the reds up, however many there are. And I'll take the one from this back corner and move it out. So I at least have a stop shot on it. Then I can shoot the black. I think that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, it is. If anything really cool happens during those attempts, I'll at least have one of my cameras pointed at me. I like to have at least one of my cameras running in case I do something cool. And that would be pretty cool. All right, thanks guys.